That is sketchy. What happens if that thing lets loose and goes across the windshield of the car behind you? So let's talk about hauling in the back of the 2025 Toyota Tacoma, or really any truck, it doesn't matter. Let me tell you how important this is. Years ago, I had a Tacoma, it was a different year, and I was hauling one of those big sweepers that you use to, I guess, collect leaves and things off of your yard, right? It was one of the kind that you hook to the back of a riding lawnmower, so it was pretty good size. Hoisted that thing up into the back of the truck because I was hauling it somewhere else. I think I was actually taking it back to where I borrowed it from. And I thought, you know, I don't really need to tie it down. It was pretty heavy. I had to lift one side at a time to get it in the truck. No way is it going anywhere. I was wrong. First of all, those sweepers have a big mesh cover over them, right? Where all the leaves go inside. That thing becomes a sail when you're going down the road. So I'm driving down the road, unsecured. I've got a white van behind me. I know he's there. I'm not going real fast. I think it was a 55-mile-an-hour road. It was an old country road. I'm driving 45 miles an hour. A little bit windy outside. I'm watching the whole time as I'm driving, right? Because I'm a little bit skeptical. And sure enough, man, I'm driving along. I look back and I see that thing lifting up in the air. This is like slow motion. It's lifting up in the air. It kind of falls out of the back of the truck. It was heavy enough that it couldn't go completely airborne, but it fell out of the truck. The van behind me hits his brakes, swerves a little bit. Fortunately, it bounced off the side of the road, not into the middle of the road. He honked at me, probably waved with one finger as he went by, not that one. And it would have been my fault. Imagine if that would have hit his truck, or if he would have, I don't know, swerved off the road, hit a tree. All kinds of bad things could have happened, right? So ever since that time, I always make sure that I have tie downs, and I tie down whatever is in the back of the truck, no matter what it is. I don't care how heavy it is, it's getting tied down. So what do you need to be able to haul things in the back of the Tacoma so that you don't have what happened to me happen to you? Well, a couple of things. First of all, you don't need a tonneau. I mean, if it's small enough to fit underneath a tonneau cover, then this doesn't really matter. You need a mat, I think, because the mat is going to help secure things to the bed as far as not letting things slip and slide all over the place. Even though I have a liner here, it's very slippery, right? So you want to make sure that you secure things down as far as not being able to slide. Secondly, tie downs. You've got to have tie downs. Now, you would think that tie downs would be a pretty simple thing, right? I know some people go with ratchet straps. I prefer tie downs. They're kind of difficult to find. I just learned this morning that I could actually adjust a cheapo pair that I had. They are these. They're actually adjustable. They kind of slide around in this little bracket down here. Although I don't really like these. They are cheap, and all that holds in one side of these, it looks to me like, you can see it right here, is a little metal clip. That's it. If this clip gives away or slides through this bracket, this thing's gonna break. Now, what's the big deal with that? Well, obviously if you have your load tied down with it, but secondly, it can snap back and slam you right in the face. I was checking out somebody's YouTube, or TikTok, that's right, I watch TikTok. I was checking out somebody's TikTok. This actually happened to them live. They were setting up a tent using those old metal, horrible bungee cords. One let loose and cut her right down the middle of her forehead. It was a mess, right? Fortunately for her, it didn't slam her in the eye. She could have lost an eye doing that. She wasn't wearing eye protection, and who would unless you wear glasses when you're just bungee tying things, right? So you have to be careful with that kind of thing. So what do? First of all, I would stay away from the adjustable ones. You know, there's nothing worse than when you're in the middle of trying to tie something down and you got to try to figure out how to adjust your bungee cord. You know, as I mentioned, I've had these for quite a while, years, and it was only today that I figured out I could actually adjust them. The best ones that I've ever had are these. You can't buy them anymore. Nobody carries them. They call them steel core. They work well. They have a nice big hook so you can get it around your tie down. They're strong, never had any issue with these, and they're long enough. The ones I have here are 4 foot, 3 foot, and I believe these are 2.5 or something like that. But forget about those. You can't buy them anymore. Over here, I just found some new ones recently, and I'll leave a link down below if you want to check these out. They're black, so they match everything, if that matters. The only thing about these is the little hook at the front is a little thin, in my opinion. They should be thicker like these and bigger as well. You can see the difference between the two. I don't know that it really matters. I mean, you're probably not going to crank on these hard enough to break these. I've tried pushing on them and stuff. They don't give. So I think they're fine. These are the ones that I'm going with anyway. And the other thing is they're 4 foot long. They're going to fit anything that you need to be able to tie down. You can stretch them out for longer or shorter objects rather, or wrap them around themselves or through the hooks inside the Tacoma if you need to shorten them up a bit. The other kind, I suppose, are these flat ones. These worry me. There's not a lot of meat to them, if you will. They're very thin, they're very flat, of course, and I think they're really only good for tying down light loads. I wouldn't want to tie anything down too heavy. Not that I would use bungee cords for anything real heavy anyway. I'd only use them to steady loads inside the truck, like a big screen TV or maybe even a washer and dryer that has some weight to it that you just want to make sure it doesn't slide. The other thing to do, of course, when you're hauling anything is to realize that you're hauling something and don't drive like you do when your bed is empty. I don't know how many times I've seen people flying down the freeway, 80 mile an hour, 75 mile an hour, and a sketchy looking load in the back. Speaking of sketchy looking, little sidebar, ever see anybody haul a mattress on top of their car? They're driving down the road, they got their hand up there holding the mattress down. That is sketchy. What happens if that thing lets loose and goes across the windshield of the car behind you? Lots of liability there that I don't think people really think about, right? Although I will say one time we hauled a big screen TV. It was like 70-inch or something, I don't know. And we had a car. So we thought it might fit in the trunk area and we could just secure it down. It of course didn't. So we put it on top of the car and we were the ones driving down the road with our hands holding it down on top of the car. Fortunately, we didn't have far to go and it was a pretty slow speed limit, so we didn't have to get up to any speed. But even at, I think, 35, 30 mile an hour, you could still feel that thing starting or trying to lift off the top of the car. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Get a truck. One more thing, if you want to store them, these bed stiffeners from Miller Cat work perfectly. Just simply hook them around on the bottom and they'll always be right where they need to be in your bed whenever you're going to haul anything. I love this thing, if for nothing else, than the ability to be able to store my tie downs without having them all tangled together inside the cubby area of the truck. Look at that, it's perfect. Anyway, I just wanted to get on, kind of talk about that a little bit because I almost had a disaster myself once, and maybe it'll save somebody out there from a potentially big disaster in the future. Tie downs, gotta have them. Make sure you get the right ones. Again, I'll leave a link down below. I just got 4 more of these for myself because I have 2 trucks, so I need 4 in each truck, right? Leave a comment, let me know. What do you use? Are you a big time ratchet strap guy? You got those big 4,000 pound ratchets or whatever, just for hauling maybe a big screen TV? I don't know. Or are you a bungee cord guy or gal like me? Leave a comment, I'd be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.